Now the Buddha says further, amongst the manifestation of one person is hard to be found in the world. Of what person? Of a Tatāgata who is an Arahant. Hard to be found in the world is such a person. So the manifestation of a Tathāgata is a very rare occurrence. Then he says, amongst one person born into the world is an extraordinary person. And that is also a Tathāgata. Now, Tathāgata, the word Tathāgata is also an interesting word. Which, of course, goes into the teachings of the Buddha. The Pali word Tat means that. The English word that. We have the English word that. What is the that? That means what we perceive through the senses, what we see, or what we hear, or what we smell, or what we touch. That is the object that we perceive. That is what is called that. The object of perception is the that. There is an ancient Sanskrit term which is commonly recited by the Hindus. Tat Tvam Asi. Tat Tvam Asi. But they just put everything together and say Tattvam Asi. But these are three words. Tat Tvam Asi. Tat means that. Tvam means you. Asi means is or are. Is the singular, are is the plural. Tattvamasi means you are that. Did you understand that? It says, you are that. What does that mean? You are that means you are the subject, that is the object. That means the subject is the object, or the object and subject are one. We normally think that the subject and object are two different things. But that statement, Tattvamasi, means that the subject and the object is the same. Although this statement is used by the Hindus today, that really comes from the Buddha. Tattvamasi, you are that. Now that statement is what we call awakening from the dream of existence. The object that we perceive is a creation of our mind. That is what it means. The object that we perceive is a creation of the mind. That means, although we see a world outside as an object, that is really inside. Today the modern scientists are aware that our eye works like a camera. Both eyes are two cameras. And when we take a picture with the camera, where is the picture? The picture is inside the camera. So in the same way, when we open our eyes and see something, what we see is inside here, not there. But we see it like it is there. We see it like something outside. This is mainly because we have two eyes. If we had only one eye, we would not see it as something outside. Because we have two eyes, and this is what is called the three-dimensional view. It is this three-dimensional view that makes us think that this is something outside. The three-dimensional view comes from the presence of two eyes. If we close one eye and look, we don't really see the distance. So modern scientific thinking proves what the Buddha is saying, that the whole world that we are aware of is really something inside us. This is why a certain deva once came to the Buddha and asked a question. This deva says, if a person can travel at a very high speed in space. Now today, according to the modern scientists, the highest speed is the velocity of light. That's what they say. The velocity of light is the highest speed. And that, so here the Buddha, the Deva is asking this question, if we can travel at a very high speed, will we be able to reach the end of the world? That's what was the question. The Buddha said, no, we cannot reach the end of the world by traveling at high speed. Then this Deva says, how true what you said. Because before I was a Deva, I was a human being in this human world. And I was a yogi. And I had psychic powers. And with this psychic power, I could travel in space at a very high speed. He didn't speak of the velocity of light, but he said that speed he explained by saying that just in a fraction of a second, he could go from the one end of the world to the other end. That's how he showed the velocity. So somehow he had this ability to travel in space with his psychic powers. And he traveled for 100 years, he said. But at the end of the 100 years, he died. He couldn't finish the distance. So the Buddha said, without reaching the end of the world, you cannot bring suffering to an end. You have to reach the end of the world. And then he said, the world, the beginning of the world, the end of the world, and the way leading to the end of the world is in this fathom-long body itself, with its perception and conception. In other words, we are born with 5 senses, and it is through the senses that we begin to perceive a thing called a world. That is all within the body. And the world that we see as outside is actually a concept in the mind. This is a very interesting thing. Tat means that. But this can be, the other part can be explained in 2 ways. One is called Tathāgata. Agata means come. Gata means going. Gata means really gone. Is the past tense. Gone. Gata. Tat Gata. Or Tat Agata. Agata means come. So, you can take it as come to that. See? Now that is supposed to be something outside there. But Agata is to come. You see, if that is not there but here, then you are coming here and not there. You see? Tatāgata. But there is another way of saying that. Tatā, instead of just saying tat, we can also say tatā. Then Tata is that, and Tatāgata means gone to that. But going to that is also coming to that. That is the important thing about this word. Tatāgata. Tathāgata. So it's very interesting, that word Tatāgata, and also Tattvamasi, that word Tattvamasi. You are that. That is the meaning of Tattvamasi. So these are all based on the teaching of the Buddha. Yeah.
Bhante, if we were to then look at the full word Tathāgata, what would be the complete statement to describe the meaning of the full word Tathāgata?
Meaning of what?
You have broken Tathāgata into two different ways.
Yeah.
But now, how do we understand the full meaning of the full word Tathāgata?
Well, Tathāgata is simply one who has arrived at reality, or the realized one. One who has realized. One who has arrived at reality. This is very interesting to know these things. Huh?